Smoke is a big series right now on Apple TV Plus, and I love Apple TV because they do the week-to-week release, so it's like it keeps the shows kind of going in terms of conversation. But I think we have some trailer for the show, but the idea behind the show is Taron Egerton and Jurnee Smollett are investigating a serial arsonist, and Journee's character is a detective, and Taron specializes in arson. And I spoke to Jurnee Smollett, and this is actually part 2 of our conversation. If you saw part 1 earlier last week, we talked about this idea of how characters get in your head. When you're an actor, like how does a character's psychology affect you when you go home at the end of the day? And she talked about Michael K. Williams and the idea of like some advice that or specifically what things that he said to her when they worked together a few years ago or years ago. And so this is part 2 of the conversation where I continue to talk to her about, separating that life and work balance when you're an actor and you're playing a character in material like this, which is really heavy. How do you go home at the end of the day? Take a look. It's interesting. I think about the show Severance and the idea of these characters going to work and then coming home and not knowing what they're doing. Yeah. And Ben Stiller said something similar to what you just said about Michael K. Williams, with the idea that your body is going through it. Yeah. Like when you do go home at the end of the day after you film a really dark sequence, like when you're on a crime scene, do you have a come down procedure that kind of like separates you back into your real life, or do you bring it home?
I used to struggle with it more. I'm a mom now, so I don't have the luxury really of that. But yeah, it is with me. I just eat some dark chocolate, man, and put on some Rihanna and dance. No. Take a bath, journal. But it also depends, honestly. Like, we do so much manipulation of our bodies. So sometimes it's like, you don't want to come down because you got to stay in it for the next day. Or like, it's hard to really talk about the process because it's kind of beyond us. It's a bit mystical, because it's a force that you got to work with constantly.
You mentioned becoming a mom, and I have to imagine that changes you as an artist as well, because like the way obviously you could emote and act prior to becoming a mother, but I have to imagine that that's probably a much deeper well now in terms of what you can emote and pick up on. Did you find yourself changing as an artist when you became a mom? Like, do you feel different as an artist?
Absolutely. I had to be more concise. I didn't have the luxury of taking as much prep time because I'm also at home with him. And now it's beautiful. He's older. He's 8.5, and he's always been on set, but now he's actually on set for scenes he can watch, like at the monitor with the writers, giving them notes or them telling him things that are happening in episode 9, and him coming home and telling me, "Mommy, so Michelle does this. Did you know?" And he's really interested in the behind the scenes process. So there's a scene where my character has to shoot someone, and he loved seeing the fake blood and the squibs pop. And so I literally had him off camera on the side of the camera watching the guy press the button so that when the squibs pop, he could see the special effects, and he loves it. He went to school telling everyone about it and the fake blood. He was dipping his hands in. So yeah, I have to be more immediate with my process. I can't. Now I say I'm a little more method adjacent because I don't have the luxury. He's like, "Mommy, come play basketball with me," And so I just have to be able to turn it on and turn it off more.
All right, that's Jurnee Smollett talking about her new series, Smoke, and the new episode airs this Friday on Apple TV+. That was part 2 of our conversation. In part 1, she told a great story about Michael K. Williams. Obviously, they worked together in the 2020 series Lovecraft. And so that was a really interesting part of the conversation. I'll put the full interview online eventually so you can see what she said about Michael K. Williams when they worked together in 2020. But Taron Egerton is her co-star in this one. This is called Smoke, and it's available now on Apple TV+.